This is gonna be a really hard video for us to make. The last 9.5 years, you know that me and Alyssa have been traveling around and filming these interviews, but the whole time we've had a rescue pup by our side. And we've become really close. These first minute or two we're gonna probably be really teary-eyed, but eventually we're gonna compose ourselves and talk about just how beautiful our lives were together. So just bear with us for a moment or two. I read a quote while we were going through this all, and it was, "The price of a good dog is heartbreak." And that's where we're at right now. If you've been following us for a while, you know that our dog's name was Noodle, and we rescued her the same time period that we started this, SBSK. And Alyssa's friend, co-worker at the time, found Noodle running back and forth on a highway and shooed her into the car, got the dog in the car, brought her into work where Alyssa was working, and Alyssa took her home that night. That was 2015, right when SPSK was just starting, but we had a few hundred followers, so chances were we've had Noodle longer than you've known us. And ever since then, she's been our puppy. She's slept beside us every single night. She's traveled the world with us. She traveled this country, the United States, 10 times over. She stayed in hotels, Airbnbs. She's been by our side the entire time, and it was such a beautiful adventure. And I think part of why this is difficult and hard to process is because since we've had her, our lives have changed so much, and she was just there for the whole ride. She was part of what kind of grounded us and rooted us during this wild ride that has been the past decade. When we got Noodle, she was definitely a street dog. I remember the first time you brought her home, and she was scared, she was on high alert, she was skinny. I think she was like 5 pounds at the time, is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
And
she was in a bad way.
Should I get tissues? Yeah, hold on. Oh God. Okay. And we took her to the vet, and they said if we hadn't taken her in that she would have passed away within a few weeks. And then she went on to spend 9.5 beautiful years with us. But she was a street dog at the time, but I think part of what made us all close is we were kind of street dogs too. Alyssa and I were living in a 500 square foot apartment at the time. We were all street dogs together.
I think we just were trying to figure out life, and I think we figured it out together.
We did, and it was beautiful, and it's kind of like the three of us.
Yeah, it's really hard. Yeah. I remember our very first trip for SBSK. You know, I got this big map, right? And I put it on the wall, and I got all these little push pins, and you know, we were just starting to get applications and people requesting interviews, and so they were far and few between, and we had to go up to Philadelphia,
My hometown,
to visit Chris's family. I want to say it was even around Christmas, so it was a little cooler, and I remember I was trying so hard to work on filling out this map and the perfect first road trip for SBSK, and
back then we thought there could be a perfect road trip.
Yeah. I had all these index cards, and I swear it's like Noodle could just sense the adventure on the horizon, because she was just sitting right in the middle of all the index cards no matter where I moved them, and I would walk back and forth from the map to the cards. And you know, when Chris walked in the door, I remember still to this day him just chuckling and laughing, I think in surprise, but also just the chaos, you know, that his little family was in, just trying to figure it all out. And how excited we all were for this, potentially new chapter. And
We had no clue what we were doing.
no.
And we all just figured it out together.
But yeah, we went on that first road trip together, and there was no rhyme or reason. It was where the interviews were, and we zigzagged up the whole entire eastern coast of the U.S. with Noodle in tow. And
Back then, we used to stay in hotels that were like $30 a night. And I remember one night, all three of us, I mean, we laugh about it. I don't know why I'm laughing, but there was gunshots outside. It was scary at the time, but the three of us just cuddled together, and we were like, we're fine. We have each other. This is temporary. We're doing something that's important. It's meaningful. We have to do it. Like, we don't have the budget for something grandiose now, but...
We even did an interview outside on the Potomac River at a park that ran along the river, and Noodle was there with us. She went to every interview back then, and for many years after, she went to a lot of our interviews because she traveled so frequently with us. Then she had her famous backpack that she would travel in, and occasionally we'd have to zip it up because there was another dog or something, or, little kids sometimes she had to kind of be quarantined, we would say, but, yeah, she really was such a huge part of everything in our life, but I think she kept us grounded, but I think we all felt okay to take a leap and do something at the time that just seemed so wild, and this path that was untaken, and just forging it forward because we were all together. And so because of that, it felt like an adventure, like a family adventure. And I'm really grateful to her for being able to do all of that with us, for helping us have the courage to take steps, towards a path that we didn't understand, and I never could have. I still don't quite comprehend our life right now and this wonderful work that we get to do and all of the people that we get to meet and the family it feels like we have across the world. So it's really hard to know that our family's gotten a little bit smaller with her loss. She really was our best friend. And I remember Chris used to tell me, like, because in the end, as she got older and a little sicker, I wasn't able to travel with Chris as much to the interviews because Noodle just couldn't travel with us comfortably, or just a whole number of reasons with her health. And the few trips that I did come with him, and my parents were gracious enough to watch Noodle, we both, after losing her, were able to kind of put into words the same sentiment that no matter if Chris had touched down in the airport, if I had picked him up in the car, he didn't really feel home until he had walked in the door and gotten screeched at by Noodle's shrill barking and just gotten licked all over the face and cuddled. And it's been pretty tough walking into the house and it's empty. And, I know that is also, it means there's great things, on the horizon. Like, I can travel again with Chris to go to these interviews, which was something my heart was really missing for the last year or two. But, yeah, she was really the heart and soul of what we did for the longest time. I think when it came to our personal lives and how we recharged and how we took care of ourselves, so that we could go and help and try and take care of other people through SBSK. So
she connected us to our past. And she was such a big part of my process with the videos. I'm not sure if it's in frame on the camera, but there's a recliner right behind us, and that's where I edit the videos. Anytime I sat down to edit, she would come up to the recliner and paw at it, and wouldn't stop pawing until I picked her up, and she would sit with me for the entirety of every video I've edited for the entirety of SBSK.
Just lay along his leg with her head right on his calf. And yeah, she really liked to be here when we were working.
I think her being we call her a street dog because we don't know how long she lived on the street for, but she definitely had some personality traits that communicated to us that it might have been a little bit of time that she lived on the streets and fended for herself. But I think that's part of what made her such a good road dog. And before she got sick that last year, she traveled with us for years and years and years, and she did so well driving. She came on planes, and just going hotel room to hotel room. She was just home and comfortable wherever she was. So I think she was kind of perfectly made for this adventure that we've been on the past decade. And it's hard to admit.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine it without her. You know, she did get to go on one big SPSK trip last year, though, and
it was perfect. We kind of knew it was the last trip for her.
She went to Colorado, and we were there for quite a few weeks filming all around Denver and Colorado Springs. And, you know, we would finish all of our work in the evening, and we would make sure that we made time to go to this local park and hike. And, you know, I had to carry her a lot. Even then, she'd walk and hike and get tired, and then I would put her in her backpack, and she would just stick her nose up in the wind, and her eyes would just kind of slit closed just as she soaked up the sun and all the smells. And yeah, she got to meet a couple new families through SBSK that trip, and they got to meet her, and
she loved meeting the families.
It made my heart really happy to know that people knew who she was, because she was so important to us. And I know we didn't always post about her, and, you know, because we tried to just, you know, keep it about the people that we're featuring and their incredible stories. And so I know she didn't make as many posts as she used to when we first started, but it always made my heart really happy for people to know who she was, because she was so important to us. And I felt like you couldn't know us unless you knew her, you know, in some ways, because she felt like the glue, you know, that kept us like really grounded. And
yeah, we all became one.
So
for the past decade, we all slept in the same bed. She would burrow into one of our sides, and then in the morning, whoever she chose that night to sleep inside, because it was always one or the other, we would wake up bragging about it. Noodle chose me, playfully. We would brag, oh, she chose me last night. Yeah, she became just part of us.
But I guess I just really wanted to say thank you to everyone for those of you that knew her, knew about her, or met her, you know, or welcomed her into your home, or I just wanted to say thanks for loving her the way that we loved her. You know, Noodle had a really hard life before she found her way to us, and I can't even fathom how it all worked out that we found each other, but I'm really, really proud of the life that we gave her and all of the love that she experienced and the adventures that she had. I think she was really lucky, and we were really lucky, and I guess I just really wanted everyone to know how grateful I was that they cared for her. Yeah.
And I think the main reason that I wanted to film a video about this is because for almost a decade, she was a pivotal part of our team. We don't have a staff, it's just me and Alyssa, and she was the third employee. She was right there by our side, making sure that our mental health was good.
Morale, yeah.
She was team morale, and we just wanted to honor that. We know it's kind of a sad video, but for 10 years it was beautiful. It was perfect. Yeah, I just want people to know for 10 years we saw the world together.
Yeah, we did. We had a beautiful, beautiful life, and it's been hard, but I know that we'll figure out how to like keep moving forward. We're excited. We're gonna travel in July again to film for SBSK, our first big trip since she passed. And so, you know, I think that's all you can do is just minute to minute and then day to day and week to week, and you just figure out how to keep going every step you can.
Through SBSK, we're very familiar with grief and the impact it has, and we know that one day at a time, and eventually we'll always remember her, and it'll get easier though. She had a beautiful life with us. We think she was 5 or 6 when we found her, and then she spent 9.5 years with us, so she lived a long life, and we know 9.5 years of that was beautiful, and we're always going to remember and treasure it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share, baby?
Just that I loved her so much. We loved her so much. So.
Yeah, I really just want people to know that for 9.5 years, there were 2 people and a dog who just traveled the world meeting people. And it was beautiful.
So.
Yeah. We'll probably take a week or 2 just to decompress and relax with one another. Do some fun things. And then we'll get back to our normal posting. We still plan on doing SBSK for as long as we possibly can. Ideally until we're ready to retire. It's just going to be different now. We know it will still be beautiful. It's still something that we love with our full hearts. We're so happy, and it blows our mind every day that we get to do this with our lives, and we discuss that between us constantly. But yeah, it's sad for us right now, and it's going to be different, and we know that we'll get back to it being beautiful again. And I even think there's beauty in the cycle of life, and even now I can kind of process that beauty, but there's a lot of pain with that beauty at this moment. But yeah, thank you for listening to us, and we just appreciate all your love and support over the years. Thank you.